Shorty wanna fuck, got her dripping like a pipeline, yeah. I cannot save a thought, you know I don't fight crime, yeah. Gucci shades, shine bright, nighttime, yeah. Hennessy, good drugs, lifelines, yeah. I don't need no broke, but try to tell me how to live my life. I wake up 7:30, pop up on me, do a burger strike. I bet you see your elder, I'm a choking on these other strikes. I'm just trying to smoke my weed until I am my fucking life. Why, let it keep shit fuck off of me, she scream, she gon' get my muscle, we can be so all you see is white lines, just shine till you blind, baby, I waste my time. Wait, why should I worry about these flames? They gon' hate, I'ma still make plays. Remember when I used to count loose change? Now I'm living like I should be, ayy. Now I'm living like I should be, ayy. Now I'm living like I should be. Why you hating, you don't know me? Why you hating, you don't know me? Shorty wanna fuck, got her dripping like a pipeline, yeah. I cannot save a thought, you know I don't fight crime, yeah. Gucci shades, shine bright, nighttime, yeah. Hennessy, good drugs, lifelines, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the live. Welcome to the live. Welcome to the live stream today. We're going to be reacting to more of a Nick Bate story, The Grossest Man Online, the original Horrorcow. And right now, I gotta turn my camera on. Here we go. And just before we get started, I gotta grab the hat. I had to grab the hat and jacket for this. But here we go.
Multiple Kiwi farmers planned a trip to Lancaster to attend the trial. Saul Goodman was not one of those this time, though. July 10th came, and the dwellers of internet space were eagerly awaiting an outcome. Toasty, a user on this day from the field, wrote, "Okay, no sick Nick for us today. Kind of relieved, not sure how I could handle seeing AO put through anything." It turned out, according to Toasty, that it was waived, meaning Nick didn't have to be there that day, and the case was now going to trial. It wasn't an epic adventure like Saul Goodman got previously. The next change came on July 20th. These were the updates. New court date on docket. Changes. Formal arraignment for July 10th, 2015, 9 a.m., Courtroom A, cancelled. Status conference, August 24th, 2015, 1:30 p.m., courtroom, to be decided, scheduled. The next date was August 24th, 2015. Nothing much happened between July and the end of August, and then the new date arrived. Nobody was there for the August 24th, and there was no big change in the case.
Hey, August 24th is my birthday. So this was taking place on my birthday. Good to know, and I'm glad this guy's in jail.
On the day. After this, followers found an inmate number for him, but not much else. This only confirmed he was still in custody, and then a new date appeared on the docket, October 5th at 1:30 p.m. for a criminal pretrial. People speculated what would happen at this date, but what this meant was Nick would spend his 24th birthday in jail. That was an optimistic thing to
Aw, I share a birthday with this guy? Oh, no. I'm going to go back a little bit.
Was coming, July 10th. July 10th would be Nick's formal arraignment. In July, multiple Kiwi farmers planned a trip to Lancaster to attend the trial. Saul Goodman was not one of those this time, though. July 10th came, and the dwellers of internet space were eagerly awaiting an outcome. Toasty, a user, on this day, from the field wrote, "Okay, no sick Nick for us today. Kind of relieved, not sure how I could handle seeing AO put through anything." It turned out, according to Toasty, that it was waived, meaning Nick didn't have to be there that day, and the case was now going to trial. It wasn't an epic adventure like Saul Goodman got previously. The next change came on July 20th. These were the updates. New court date on docket. Changes. Formal arraignment for July 10th, 2015, 9 a.m., Courtroom A, canceled. Status conference, August 24th, 2015, 1.
August 24th is my official birthday, folks. So this is happening on my birthday.
30 p.m., courtroom, to be decided, scheduled. The next date was August 24th, 2015. Nothing much happened between July and the end of August, and then the new date arrived. Nobody was there for the August 24th, and there was no big change in the case on the day. After this, followers found an inmate number for him, but not much else. This only confirmed he was still in custody, and then a new date appeared on the docket, October 5th at 1:30 p.m. for a criminal pretrial. People speculated what would happen at this date, but what this meant was Nick would spend his 24th birthday in jail.
I share a birthday with this guy. No. Because apparently his is the 24th or something. Oh no.
That was an optimistic thing to think about. The overlord of Kiwi Farms celebrated this fact with a banner on the top of the site that read, "Reminder that Nick Bate is still in jail. Happy birthday, LOL." While they waited for the next event, multiple people considered writing Nick a letter. One person was Maddie, who ultimately decided not to. The next court event came, and no one attended, but someone called the jail the next day, October 6th, and found out that the case had been placed on the trial schedule, but no dates had been assigned yet. It was back to the waiting game. On October 12th, people saw that Nick no longer had an inmate number, and began to panic he made bail. But this was a frivolous worry, and Nick remained incarcerated. And then there was an update on the docket. The next court case was January 19th, 2016. Was something going to happen? Are we approaching the end of the story? Well, stay tuned. The Farms actually had someone planning to go to this one, by the name of Marvin. Marvin volunteered on December 14th to be the reporter. He expressed how excited he was to make Horrorcow history. 2015 ended, and the internet eagerly followed into 2016 to see if Nick's little sister would get her justice. 2016. With the new year coming, a new thread was started to count down to the Judgment Day. The thread was started January 15th, 2016. As they waited, people theorized that the other trials were to determine if there was enough evidence to go further, and this led people not to be hopeful for the outcome. There were 2 days of court, January 19th and the 20th, and Marvin decided to attend the 20th trial. After the 19th, Nick's bail was changed from $150,000 to $500,000. Hope and anticipation were bubbling inside the hearts of the followers. It's rare a story of abuse and victimization has a happy ending. People get away with horrendous acts all the time. Children, animals, and more become victim to someone abusing their power, often with no repercussions. It is an unfair world. Much like the previous epic report from Saul Goodman, Marvin posted an elaborate tale of the court hearing to let readers feel as if they were actually there. Let me read this for you listeners. Just put yourself in the shoes. It is 2016. You've been watching a psycho run around on the internet for 5 years, bragging about being a and harassing women. You find out he horribly molested a little girl for years. You've seen some literally, and you just want to see a burn. Now let's read this. Okay, so interesting trial today. Huge wall of text coming. If you want the end result, just skip to the bottom of my post. This took place at the Lancaster County Courthouse, so the floor that the courtroom took place in didn't allow any photography. Like so you can't catch a picture of someone coming out of the courtroom. You have to hang around the exits of the building, or maybe in the lobby, and catch a picture of them there. Well, either way, they brought Nick in through a special door in the courtroom anyway. So, I don't know if I could have encountered him anyway. When I got into the courtroom, I talked to the detective a bit. She talked to whoever went to the earlier hearing, so she was expecting me, I think. I overhear that the prosecution is going to be having 4 people testifying, and the defense is going to have 2 people testifying. The prosecution also mentioned having a YouTube video, but I didn't get the details on that. Nick Bate gets marched in wearing a yellow jumpsuit and Crocs. He's looking pretty skinny. Also, I thought his hair looked kind of thinning on the top. He had kind of a Charles Manson look to him, you know? So then the trial gets going. First, AO testifies. First, the judge asks if there's any opposition to her testifying because she's under 14. No one objects. Both the defense and the prosecution question AO about the detailed specifics of the allegations. Defense tries a bit harder, I think. The defense seems to be trying to get AO to say that she didn't immediately report molestation to her father, but she just mentioned some weird behavior on Nick's part that her father just inflated. At some point, the defense asks very specifically if AO was being coached. Next, the prosecution puts the cop on the stand. Nothing much of interest is said. Then they put a social worker or someone in a similar position on the stand. I think she just commented on physical evidence. Also, by the way, during the whole thing, it seemed that Nick Bate was shaking, kind of like sustained shivering. Later, I figured it was because he was jiggling his leg, but I don't know. It seemed to be pretty vigorous leg shaking. He was pretty nervous. Next, they put the detective on the stand. They entered some chat logs between Nick and Anna into evidence. I think you guys know which logs these were, the ones where he explicitly admitted to these crimes. They read the chats out loud in the courtroom, a boots included. Next, they put AO's mother on the stand. She defended Nick in really bizarre ways. She said that her husband had never liked Nick from the beginning. She said that he was kicked out of the house in 6th grade. She made a few statements about how after he was kicked out, he was never in the house. Oh, except for Christmas. But he was never ever alone with AO. Under questioning, she admitted that she worked. AO was home alone sometimes. Nick was within walking distance during those times, and easily could have been over at the house. Then the prosecutor mentioned that she might have a video of Nick and AO at a birthday pool party that would have been around the time that these crimes were committed. This really didn't faze AO's mother. After all this, the prosecutor asked AO's mother if someone said AO was alone with Nick at one point, would they be lying? She answered, yes, without batting an eye. Then the defense just went and rehashed all of AO's mother's claims with her. Was Nick ever left alone with AO? No, etc. The prosecutor asks, do you love your son? Yes. The defense asks, do you love your daughter? Yes. Fair enough. Next, Nick himself is on the stand. He speaks more coherently than I expected. He claims he made up the molestation story in the chat log. He says that all the Nick parts are legitimately his writing, but that some of the Anna parts were admitted. He also brings up internet harassment and claims he was hacked, and that's how the log was leaked. His excuse about the molestation story is that Anna was telling him about a sex encounter she had. He didn't want to be left out, so he says he made up his own sex story, but no one would believe he banged an adult. So, the logical option is child molestation. After that, Nick admitted to be a pedophile in court, as well as a coprophile. Contradicting what his mother said, Nick said he visited AO for Christmas, Thanksgiving, and birthday parties. After that, Nick admitted part of the earlier claim was that before one of the incidents, AO and Nick were in AO's bedroom, and they had just finished playing Wii, or a board game or something. Nick's mother claimed that they never had the Wii in AO's home. It was always on the downstairs TV. Nick also contradicted that. One question literally asked of sick Nick was, do you enjoy butts or feces, Mr. Stotzenberger? Yes, of course. Nick's lawyer is pretty much setting up the, but I really like poop defense to show that the chat log was fake. Closing arguments. The defense basically argued that lots of people are giving varying stories about the same events. AO can't keep her story straight. Also, AO's father really hated Nick, so he was trying to manipulate AO into getting him arrested for pedophilia. Also, Nick lives in cyberspace, so he's just indulging in his weird edgelord fantasies online. At one point, the words were pretty similar to, why would he say he wouldn't lick a butthole? As we know, he's a coprophile. He'd love it. I don't think they were exactly that, but that sounds pretty close. It at least shares a few phrases in common. The defense was literally using the, if he likes you must acquit defense. The prosecution said that AO's stories weren't inconsistent. She remembered important details. She obviously didn't remember the miscellaneous details, like what clothing he was wearing or what they were doing beforehand. Also, the Anna chat matches what AO claimed very closely. AO's mother's testimony is worthless, and very importantly, it's not like Nick is denying that he'd want to molest a child. He's just saying he didn't do it at the time. Verdict. Involuntary deviant sexual intercourse with a child? Guilty. Indecent assault of person less than 13 years of age. Guilty. The docket lists 4 charges, and I only remember hearing 3 charges announced, so I don't know if I missed something or what. Later on, Marvin updated about one of the charges being missing writing. Okay, so I've been distracted because I've been out of the country for days. Haven't had much time to post here. Anyway, so I spoke with the detective and got some details on the missing charge. She said that the victim didn't testify completely about one of the charges at the preliminary hearing, so that missing charge got dropped. It's a minor issue, I just wanted to document it here. User Segoy Chan also added in details because they had visited too. They write, I got there late, just after morning recess, so I couldn't actually get into the courtroom until after they broke for lunch. I was there for closing arguments and the verdict. The judge took about an hour to deliberate. It was a bench trial, not jury trial. After reading his verdict, the judge walked Nick through what happens next, including his appeal options and timeline. I do believe this is what the addition to the docket that at an anonymous linked above. The Commonwealth introduced a motion for a violent sex offender test to be conducted on Nick. Also, AO and her father were there for the verdict, as was his mother. The father let out a small yes upon the announcement. I did not see AO's reaction, but I imagine it's complicated for someone so young to see her half-brother go away. Nick seemed to not react when the verdict was called, but he did look at his mother long as they walked him away. Nick Bate is going to prison for a long time, everyone. Segoy also included the detail that AO and her father sat as far away from Nick's mom as you could get while in the observer seating, and didn't stay nearby during the recesses as she did. They bolted as soon as court was adjourned. They were the first ones out the door and were at the elevator before Nick's mom left the courtroom. They concluded, we'll never know for sure, but I think those actions speak a lot about the state of their relationship. Null immediately responded to the results with,
Owned.
Confetti was soon added all over Kiwi Farms. It was such a joyous day. On January 20th, it was reported Anna was told of the conviction and was extremely happy because of it. Even more hopeful, people looked into what he was convicted of, and it seemed that he was hopefully going away for a long time. There was to be another court date that was for giving Nick the time he was sentenced to. Nick got a new mugshot taken, and it was revealed in a news article the day after he was found guilty. The article included new details, writing, Lancaster, PA, a Columbia man was convicted Wednesday of sexually abusing a child, according to the Lancaster County District Attorney's Office. Prosecutors presented a transcript of an online chat Stotzenberger had with another individual regarding the abuse during his trial. Stotzenberger is expected to be sentenced in about 3 months, following a background check and psychological assessment regarding his risk to reoffend. People who were excited about the incarceration of Nick posted, including Maddie. Now it's time to wait for the sentencing hearing. It seemed finally a villain got punishment in the real world. And it gets better. It really does feel like a comic book story, except instead of masked villains and heroes, it's a disgusting, filthy pedophile getting justice. So, we are approaching the end, the finale. The pre-sentence investigation was reported sometime around February or March, and it was still a waiting game. While everyone awaited the sentencing, Anna posted something bizarre on March 10th. Nick sent her a letter. She did not read it and instead sent it to the DA in case she wants to find a way to keep Nick away from her. She did not post the contents of the letter online. Smart girl. Null then decided he wanted to send a letter to Nick, but Anna was so against it and scared. Null didn't like Anna after this. LOL. This was a letter Null wanted to send to Nick.
Hi, Nick. I hope you're holding up well enough. I have heard you're able to write again, which must be nice. Seeing something from you after these months of silence was a shock. This situation is surreal. You don't expect things in life to change so drastically after years of staying the same, and then they do. Against my wishes, I feel a great amount of sympathy for you. I wouldn't really wish what you're going to face on anyone. I don't believe in America's blood sport of a penitentiary system. Regardless, short of divine intervention, I don't think there's much hope for you in the upcoming sentencing. I'm not even sure what you could hope for at this point. I don't know if your letter to Maddie will be read, and if it is, who will be reading it. I'm personally curious to hear what you have to say. If you reply to me, I will publish what you write online, so consider this your chance to reach out to a large audience. It's a privilege you won't have very often anymore. Good luck, Joshua Connor Moon.
And just to be clear, he was being nice to try to get information from Nick. After Anna begged him not to, Noel updated it to read,
Julie, get ready. Lol.
The sentencing hearing was finally scheduled for April 25th, 2016. No one attended the hearing from the farms, but the day after, Ann Ominous posted to the thread some great news. I just got off the phone with the clerk of courts for Lancaster County. Nick was sentenced to 40 years, the maximum for his crime, and is eligible for parole in 16 and a half years. Pop the bubbly. Nick would most likely not get out until he was in his 60s. It's time to celebrate. Kiwi Farms celebrated by making the news the front page of the site. Lancaster Online reported it as soon as the news came out. It was such a joyous day. So many other news programs came out to announce this. The best part is under the Facebook post of the Fox 43 news post, people were wishing the worst to happen to Nick, as he deserves. Everyone hates people who harm children. It said that pedophiles get treated the worst in prison, because even among criminals, there is a code of ethics. Nick remains in prison to this day. His inmate information got updated in June of the year he was committed. Nick looked worse than ever in this photo. Matted hair in dreads, unshaven beard, empty eyes, and thinner than his usual corpulent self. He looked to be haunted, which was satisfying, I'm not going to lie. On August 1st of 2016, Noel actually sent the letter. This was a letter he sent to Nick.
Hi, Nick. I'm writing on behalf of the forum. This letter was discouraged by everyone I talked to, but I'm sending it anyways, cause I feel like it. This should go without saying. Everybody in every community that has heard of you believes you are guilty, as apparently did the state of Pennsylvania and her people. Just want to make it absolutely clear that this is not being written as a way to allow you to vindicate yourself. I'm just saying hello and allowing you to write expressively to someone who read what you have to say, someone who isn't your appointed lawyer. If you choose to reply, I would like to know 3 things. 1. How are you holding up? 2. Do you regret your online presence? 3. If you could go back in time and change one thing, what would it be and why? I should add that I will not be delivering your response to any person in particular, especially if by request. This is a personal correspondence. Kind regards, Josh. P.S. Please don't use the word abood.
To my knowledge, Nick never responded. Nick tried to appeal a sentence in 2017 and 2018. Both were denied. And Nick sits there to this day. 16 years from his sentence date is 10 years from now, I believe. 2032. There was a photo that was released rather recently, within the past couple years, of what he looked like in prison. He looked clean-shaven and like he had showered. He looked completely normal, which felt very inappropriate knowing what kind of person he is. And hopefully his appeals will continue to be rejected, and hopefully he will remain there. Conclusion. Prison is supposed to be for reform, but it is doubtful Nick can be reformed. For 7 years, up until he was put into prison, he defended harm to children and pedophilia, claiming it was a sexuality. He took no responsibility for his behavior, and instead reveled in his own disgustingness. Nick is not human. He is the embodiment of everything a normal person should hate in the world. He's smelly, he's filthy, he's a child abuser, a woman abuser, an animal abuser. He hits almost every check on the list for things society should not allow. If society wants to function, people like Nick should not exist. But back to the thesis of this video. For years, Nick claimed to be attracted to children and have done actions toward children. People were hopeful that he was just trolling, but as I said in the beginning, when someone tells you who they are, believe them. But I hope Ayo feels safer now that Nick is locked up. And it is amazing. He can't hurt anyone else, so let's enjoy that. But remember, when going online, sometimes it's best not to give someone the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes you have to do what's best for you and not try to be nice to someone in fear of hurting their feelings. It's beneficial to not just be trusting online. Make sure your kids know that. I'm sure Anna wished that she had never been nice to Nick after he scared her the first time. Well, that's the end. What do you think? Do you think Nick can be reformed? I don't, but let me know in the comments. In conclusion, get f***ed, pet. So before we get into the Patreon credit roll, let's thank our voice actors. Let's see. We have Turk February, Coyote Lovely, Salvo Pancakes, XX, Irate Alex, and Toad McKinley. Their channels and social media will be linked below. These guys provide entertainment.
Shout out to all these guys who were in this video, and also shout out to Cecil McFly.
So please check them out. I'd like to thank my patrons listed here. You guys rock and help pay for these videos. I'm not sure if this video is going to be demonetized because it's pretty gross. And if you're interested in supporting long-form content on internet lore, please consider becoming a patron. I only charge when I make long-form videos, so it's like maybe 4 payments a year.
Oh yeah, so that's the end of the video. Hope you guys liked it and enjoyed it. That's the end of my reaction to Nick Bate's story, The Grossest Man Online, the original Horrorcow Part 5. And that's it, folks. So feel free to check out my Discord. It's linked in the video and on my YouTube. Feel free to check out the Silver Bell Show DX Fan #1, LTM Vlogs and Editorials. Johnny the 5'8", Divincello, and Obean's World. Feel free to check out all those guys. And also feel free to check out episodes 1 and 2 of Smack Talk there on Silverbell's channel in a playlist. So feel free to check that out as well. It's got me in there. And that's it. And also shout out to Christopher Cooper 2024. Shout out to all those people. And thank you all for watching. And we'll see you all again.